It turns out my stepmom is nowhere close to the person she led on to believe. My father now feels trapped as he's a very wealthy man with no prenup. So, what does he do? He fakes his death. I did not like my dad's new wife, even though she acted nice to everyone. She was a gold digger, and I had no idea what my dad even liked about her. The more she stayed with us, the more she exposed herself. But my dad could not just divorce her because he did not sign a prenup even though we all told him to. Which was why he came up with this idea to fake his death. Which is not surprising because my father is a bit dramatic. My stepmom Regina, who's 35, was as fake as they came. And it did not take long for me, female 20, and my two siblings Chandler, who's 18 male, and Ella, who's female 10, to realize this. Our mom passed away a few days after Ella was born, so Dad did not date for a long time after her death. And only 2 years ago did he introduce a lady to the others. I was the first one to meet her, and I thought that she seemed nice. But I did want to get to know her more. The main thing I was skeptical about was the age difference, but she seemed down to earth and even had a son. I talked to her and got to know her without my dad around, and she really tried to get along with me. She gave me advice for school, and we even had girls' trips together, which made me feel like I had my mother back. I approved for her to meet my siblings after getting to know her much better. She acted very polite and well-mannered, and did not seem to care about money, which I suspected was the reason she was dating my dad in the first place. My siblings adored her, and she treated them just like her own, which was important because Dad wanted to date someone who could accept his kids. The other thing that also convinced me was that my father was extremely happy when he was with her. He did not stress so much about little things. He seemed so much younger and less sad, which was all I ever wanted for him. If you cannot already tell, I'm a massive daddy's girl, and I'm super protective of my father. Even though he is mega rich, he has a heart of gold and has taught me to work hard and not expect handouts. But I knew we had to be careful. After all, the most popular scam is a young woman marrying a rich old man, and then wanting for him to die before stealing his estate. They dated for a while and both my siblings liked her. She took care of Ella and as she was her own daughter, and she did not seem very interested in a life of luxury, having come from a simple beginnings and even gave back the credit card my father gave her. Her acting was so convincing that everyone was fooled, and we all loved her. So my dad told me that he was going to propose to her soon, and I gave him my blessing but did request a prenup. I wish I could take my blessing back because she was a snake. It started with the wedding preparations where she demanded a luxury wedding. I got suspicious and brought it up to my dad, but he thought I was being ridiculous. She did not invite my mother's side of the family, even though they had nothing against her. Even the reception, she said that she was not comfortable with it, even though it made my sister cry. I caught her telling my sister that she was being a big baby, and that was why her mother left her. I was so angry that I went to Dad and to tell him about exactly what I heard and tell him that he's making a big mistake marrying her. She cried and said I was lying about it, and worst of all, Ella said she was right. I asked my little sister about it, and she said that stepmom told her to keep quiet. Otherwise, she would stop her from ever seeing her grandparents again. It was then I knew she was the devil. After the wedding, her son, who's 13, moved in with us, and I started to see how she treated my siblings different from her own child. I talked to her about it, which led to a huge fight, where she threatened to have my dad kick me out because I was making her uncomfortable. She went crying about it to my dad and he tried to keep the peace between us, but all I wanted was for her to get out. In front of Dad and his brother, she was a sweet person who loved her stepkids. But she was the worst person to us. I did not mind her belittling me, calling me fat, making digs at me. I was old enough to respond to her insults without getting hurt. What I did not like was the way she treated my brother and sister. She lied to Dad that she caught my brother smoking so that he would take away Chandler's car. She did this after he refused to fetch her son from his school, which is on the other side of town. One day, Ella came crying to me because she had hit her for touching her stuff. I had a talk with her about the way that she was treating my siblings, but she told me that she was the lady of the house now and could do anything. She excluded my siblings in a lot of family events or treated them like servants, while her son was pampered like a prince soon-to-be king. Let me not even talk about the large bills that she raked up, buying unnecessary stuff with my father's money. My father might have been fooled by her beauty and charms in the beginning, but there was something that triggered him to see what a horrible person she was. We have a tradition in our family for the day that Mom died, which is to have dinner and make her favorite food. Regina found out about the dinner and refused to host it, even though I warned her that it would make my siblings upset. She threw out all the food and took it one step further. Threw away the portrait of Mom that stays in my little sister's room. She said that she was the lady of the house now and my mom was from the past. As soon as my dad came home and saw the mess that she's made, and my sister who would not get out of her room because she was so upset, he told her never to mess her kids again, unless she wanted to leave the house. She apologized and said she would never do it again, but I didn't believe her. And just like every time, my dad believed her. Or so I thought. He called me to his office and told me that he's now been doubting her for a very long time, and he regrets deeply marrying her. He was scared that if he passed away and she was still his wife, she would ruin our life. I told him he could just get a divorce and she would be out of our lives. He told me that it was just simply not that possible, and if he divorced her, she would get half or more of the estate, and he could not suffer such a loss. He said that he had a plan and she would soon be out of the house. I just had to give him time. Well, it turns out we did not have that much time because I got a call a month later, being told that my dad's car was in an accident, and it's fallen over a cliff. He did not survive the crash and neither did his driver. They told me that there were barely any remains left because the car burned when it crashed. I told my stepmom, but asked her not to tell my siblings while I went to the hospital. I was too shocked to do a body view, but one of the other drivers did it and confirmed that it was my dad. I did not know what it was a plan at the time, but my dad did not let me know because he did not want me to get into trouble with the law. After all, faking a death is not that legal. His driver has also not survived from what I was told. When I got home, my siblings were hysterical and, of course, it was my stepmom's fault because she told them even though I warned her not to. In anger, I slapped her across the face for taking away my right to tell my siblings. She threatened to have me arrested for assault and told me that I better be nice to her. The funeral went by so quickly, and I was sad because yet another parent had left me. I did see something strange, though. A man who looked like our driver, who was supposed to be dead. I tried to follow him, but I lost him. It just made me very suspicious. She played the part of grieving widow for a week while our extended family was present. All the family members could not stop talking about how lucky I was that my stepmom was kind and caring towards us. I told them, well, she's not, and she's not to be trusted, but no one wanted to listen. As soon as they left, we had the will reading. She had already started to act nasty towards us, but this time she was taking it too far. As my dad's wife, she was automatically his next of kin on most accounts. something that he did not get in change before the tragedy. She blocked mine and Chandler's cards and said that we had to earn staying in the house with her. She said that if we did not like it, then she would happily kick us out of her house. The will reading was eventful when she found out that the estate had been divided equally between us. She was shocked because she thought she fooled him enough for him to leave her everything. I told her that our father loved us and she could never come between us. Not even an hour after reading of the will, she brought her lawyer over and was now attempting to stop the division of the estate into equal parts. She wanted to get the majority of the estate by contesting the will. Unfortunately, she can do that in the area where we stay. She threatened to take everything away from us and have us on the streets. She did not hold back in her cruelty, treating me and my siblings like we were visitors in her house. We had to ask for every single cent while transfers were being done. As a student, I was not working yet, so I was left at her mercy. Her lawyer told us that she had a very high chance of winning, since she married my dad in community of property. She made us clean the house and serve her while she acted like a queen. When we tried to complain, she would threaten to tell us to not give allowance, or to throw us out of the house completely. The only hope was that the case would be in our favor, and she would leave us alone. She spent a lot of time shopping and spending my father's hard-earned money. Her son would laugh at us and tease us every day, saying that one day we would be on the streets. I honestly had no hope left, until I saw a camera in the house one day. I thought it was her trying to spy on us and was about to break it. But then, I got a call from an anonymous number. It was my dad, telling me that he faked his death, and of course, I could not believe it. He quickly proved to me that he was still alive and told me that he planned to expose her. But he needs my help now, and I know he's alive, so I can help. Now it made sense to me why I saw his driver at the funeral. There was going to be a big party with all the business partners. I knew that she's been trying to convince them to vote in her favor to run my dad's company. When I tried to talk to them, they said I was just a little girl, and she was more than experienced and was a good person. But what if everyone found out what a horrible person she was? It would be killing two birds with one stone. She would be unable to get the whole company, and my father would have proof that would help get rid of her. So, I did my best to provoke her in the days leading up to the business dinner. I made sure that every single time she mistreated us, there was a camera close by. The camera was there when she was abusive towards my sister and threatened to beat her up and get her adopted. The evidence piled up, and it was enough for us to expose her at any time that we could. At the business dinner, a lot of important people, including family members, were present. I let the dinner go until she made a toast. She asked for their support so she could win the legal battle to become the main benefactor, and because all she wanted to do was take care of us. She even shed a fake tear, and I could see that people were eating it up and giving me and Chandler dirty looks. At that moment, my father walked in, and the look of her face, I think everyone thought he was a ghost. She screamed at him to go away and that he's not real while everyone watched the drama. My dad said that he now knew that she treated us badly, and if he left the estate to her, we would be in danger. She tried to deny it, but my father sent everyone the evidence where she's been dragging my sister's hair, slapping me, shouting at my brother. She was so embarrassed as the guest insulted her for being a gold digger and an overall bad person. My dad kicked her out right then and there and told her that he would see her in court. Our family was reunited, but it was a very bumpy ride after that. By proving that she was danger to his family, my dad had the proper grounds to divorce her, and the best part was, he did not have to pay her a dime. But the only problem was that she was not completely out of our lives. It was mandatory that she was going to get 1% of his will when he died. But I felt it was a small price to pay. Then she decided to file a case against my dad for emotional damage because he faked his death. She made a whole spectacle of herself acting as if she cared for my dad, and the grief made her act the way she did. Even though my dad did it for legal reasons, this time the case went in her favor. My dad was found guilty. He had to pay a fine to the court and serve a short sentence of a few months, so he just paid the fine. I was so mad when I also found out that he had to pay her money because of the quote, emotional damage she suffered. Because, well, he did fake his death. I tried to get Dad to countersue so that she would not walk away with a huge payday after what she's done. But my father did not mind that he had to pay her, and he assured me that this was way less than he would have paid in the divorce. So, she walked away with cash, but knowing her, it would not even last a few months. We're all happy that she's out of our lives and our dad's taking a break from dating after her. And if he remarries, he says he'll sign a prenup to avoid a repeat of what happened with Regina. My siblings are happy to have their dad back, and they made him swear to never fake his death again. I completely agree. Okay guys, so that story was absolutely insane. I don't know how real it was, considering last time I checked, faking your death is like a huge deal. I don't think somebody would be able to post about it, and I definitely do not think the father can just do a mystery show and arrive, and all the people are just supposed to be like, oh, you're not really dead, okay, cool. I don't know, maybe this was in a different country, maybe not, I'm not sure. Let me know what you think of this story down in the comment section. If it was real, what an epic story that was. I still have another story for you. It's titled, I Caught My Dad Cheating on My Mom with a Younger Married Woman. What do I do? In 2015, my mom, who's lovely and ages like red wine, caught my dad cheating on her with a younger woman. I was 15 when this happened, and it tore their 21-year marriage apart. It ended in an awful divorce, and my sisters and mom left my dad immediately. We moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment where my father lived in our 7-bedroom home. My mom quickly became depressed and drank relentlessly every night. As I'm the oldest, this meant picking up the slack around the house. I cooked, cleaned, bathed my sisters, took care of repairs and grocery list, meanwhile starting my sophomore year of high school and playing sports. I've had enough of my mom's drinking after a random man found my mom's phone and called me to drive to pick her up 40 minutes away at 1 a.m. in the morning because she was too drunk to drive. I was unlicensed and had just received my driver's permit. I somehow got her home safely through LA freeways, and she vomits all over the car and on herself. The next morning, she kicked me out of the house because I told her how unsafe that was, and slow down on drinking. She thought I was on my dad's side. Flash forward to now. My parents managed to co-parent, but eventually they started to date again, calling each other babe and going out on dates and traveling. My dad told me secretly in 2017 that the mistress he was with had moved away to Louisiana. We live in California, and that he'll never see her again. That was a lie. 2 months ago, I was house sitting for my dad's house, while my dad was on vacation with my mom, when I heard a ring in his room. I was the only one there, so I went to check on the noise. My dad had just upgraded his phone for a newer model, but his iCloud was still connected to his old phone and did not realize every text he sent and received also went onto his old one. I checked who message was, and it was, lo and behold, the same chick from 2015. She was sending him erotic text messages and pictures, saying he should have picked her, the love of his life, over his family, and even sent him pictures of the son she recently gave birth to, saying, he looks just like you. The one thing that got me the most mad was when my father sent her the personal letter I wrote to him for his birthday, and she said, quote, "Aw, my future stepdaughter is so sweet. I know she'll love her new mommy just as much. I immediately took pictures of the conversation and I have screenshots of them. I'm planning on telling my mom, but this will wreck her. I'm afraid she'll be going through the same drinking phase and I won't know how bad this may or may not be. What's up, guys? Mr. Reddito here. This story is super dramatic. Don't worry, I have a complete update for this. If you're enjoying the story so far, support the channel by smashing that like button as it's the best way to support me. And here comes your update. I told my mom. Quite frankly, it was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. A couple days ago, I had gone to dinner with my mom, dad, and sister for my sister's birthday. I could see my dad sneakily checking his phone under the table, while my sisters and mom all bonded over the food. Although he was physically there, mentally he was checked out. That night we got back home, I locked my mom and I in her room, and she could almost immediately tell something was off. I rarely cry in front of her, but before I could even let the words out, I broke down and sobbed. She's not the most affectionate and nurturing mother, but she got off the bed and hugged me, and kept making things worse with all her questions. I told her straight up, "Dad's texting mistress again." Before I could even present my proof, she believed me. Eventually, I showed her the screenshots and she took it as well as anyone would, finding out the second time her husband's a cheater. I haven't seen my dad in a week, nor has he tried contacting me. He has no idea I was the one who snitched on him, because my mom told me she was going to tell him she found the text on her own. For now, she's been doing great. I haven't seen her act out, but of course, she could be crying herself to sleep and I would never know. I just want to say, I am glad OP's mother found out. The father seems like a toxic individual, and I'm so sorry OP and the mother have to do anything in this guy's life. I saw a similar situation in the comment section, so I'll share that. I caught my father too. Some friends and I were out one night, saw his vehicle in a neighboring town parked outside a movie theater. I suspected he was running around and even saw him with the woman a few times. And of course, he denied it, and tried to convince me I was just imagining it. Anyways, he was supposedly working that evening. We released the air from all 4 tires of his vehicle and removed the battery, then called my mother and recommended a great movie at the theater. I believe parents should lead by example, and his was not a good one. You did the right thing, OP. Guys, remember, if you ever have a story you want to share or a similar situation, drop it down in the comment section. I love reading them. That's all the content I have for you today. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you do want to support the channel, all you have to do is click that like button. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in the next one.